In another story, the SABC is continuing with its retrenchment plans, saying it has no choice but to reduce its number of employees to make it financially viable. Around 230 people face the chop. The public broadcaster wants the process over by the end of the year. We're now joined by the SABC COO, Mr. Plaatjes, to discuss the matter. Thank you so much for your time tonight. Certainly an unenviable position that the ANC is finding itself in tonight. And this has been really an ongoing process that the ANC has, in fact, the SABC rather, pardon me, has been trying to really just deal with, because we saw in the beginning there was 900 and now the number has gone down to 230, but unions are still not happy. And looking at what is happening, Mr. Plaatjes, would you say things are now at SOS level?
So, Bongiwe, and good evening to you and your viewers. No, it's not at SOS level, and it's not 230. There's 400 identified employees that are affected. However, we do have 170 vacancies, and if they take up that, then there would be only 230. The unions have obviously the right to interdict the process. We haven't had any formal communications from the attorneys in that matter, so we are proceeding ahead.
And, you know, as you talk about the unions and you're saying that they've got the right to go to court, it certainly doesn't look like the two are finding each other. It doesn't look like you and the unions are finding each other. Where's the breakdown in communication?
So, Bongiwe, I don't think there's a breakdown in communication. As you know, the Labour Relations Act allows for a 189 process to have a minimum of 4 sessions and 60 days. We've tried it within that period of time. We've never reached consensus on that. And we've extended from a management perspective for another 60 days. And over a 4-month period, we still haven't come to the point of getting alternatives from the unions. And so we had to conclude that process. And the concluding remarks from the commissioners are obviously both parties reserve their rights, which in the organization's perspective is to continue with the retrenchment process.
Given how unhappy the unions have been over this process and continue to be, because we also heard from them even yesterday as well, certainly they are threatening, possible strike action here. Is the public broadcaster ready for this?
Yes, we are aware that there might be a strike, and yes, we have taken contingency mechanisms and put that in place. So we'll deal with it as and when it occurs.
What are some of these contingency plans?
Obviously, I can't share that on a public forum like this. So we'll wait and see if a strike occurs, and we'll have the plans in place.
And Mr. Plaatjes, there's also talk of 97 positions that are expected to form part of an outsourcing initiative. Can you tell us more about what exactly these positions are and what this outsourcing initiative would look like?
Yes, indeed. So as you mentioned, 2 years ago, that number was at 900. When we started the negotiations around this current 189 process, we identified 600 positions, and we were able to reduce that to 400. And that was through finding alternative ways of cost cutting, but also a possible 197 that we're going to be doing. So we'll be outsourcing our TV license division, basically. The advantage of that is that 97 people will not be retrenched. They will then be moving to another organization. We'll be going out on a tender process for that, and they will maintain their current salaries and benefits for a period of time.
And you also are talking here about the freezing of salaries. There's also going to be a reduction of leave days. There's also going to be, the discontinuation of the cashing out of leave days, and also a look at reduction of sick leave. How have employees reacted to this?
So we haven't received any formal feedback from employees. We had an engagement with employees yesterday. And there wasn't anything specific around these items you've just raised now. But it's important to note that that cost or the freeze of the salaries is across the board, which includes executives as well. And it would be for a period of 3 years, or if we break even sooner, then obviously it will be lifted. And that's one of the biggest mechanisms that we could use to reduce the headcount that would have been impacted from 600 to 400.
And, you know, we saw some visuals of some of the employees at the SABC in tears over the latest developments, really being hit hard by what is happening. And given the fact that we're still in a pandemic, some people have lost their jobs, and they certainly are not even sure if they'll be able to find employment elsewhere. What do you say tonight to those employees that are finding themselves with such anxieties?
Yeah. You know, this is a regrettable action that we are taking. Doing a retrenchment process is not an easy process for all parties involved. And we really do feel for the employees. We are putting in mechanisms where they can receive counseling for themselves as well as their families. And that will extend to beyond the period that they exit the organization as well.
And there was, of course, developments recently around those employees that had to, you know, be let go of, you know, who were not appointed, you know, in the correct manner. And one of them is an anchor that has really found herself at the center of a public spat between the public broadcaster and herself, really. And the Labour Court has ruled that she can go back to work, but now she's still not going back to work. What exactly is going on there, and what is preventing her from being able to go back to work?
Yeah, as you know, that matter was, you know, dealt with from the public protector, and we were acting on instructions from that. The court did reinstate her. We appealed that. That matter was heard today. Prior to that, we have offered her, as per the public protector's recommendation as well, we have offered her to return to a previous role where she was appointed in a regular manner, and the court actually accepted that today. So with immediate effect, she will be returning to her previous role.
All right, Mr. Plaatjes, thank you so much for your time tonight. We certainly do appreciate it. That's SABC COO Ian Plaatjes.